to TikTok Live and Facebook Live. I am here with Kelly Grogan from the Wilmington Police Department. And if you've been following me a little bit on TikTok or on Facebook, you have seen my horribly embarrassing video of the self-defense class that I took with Officer Grogan last weekend. She put me through my paces. She helped me learn how to defend myself because, I got to thinking, I walk alone a lot for exercise. Mm-hmm. A lot of us do. I have headphones in, which I know is probably a no-no. Yes. Because of the situational awareness thing that we're going to talk about. But I thought it would be great to have Officer Grogan here with us today to tell you how to be safe yourself. My content is about women empowerment. I'm here for y'all. I want you to be safe. I want you to be able to exercise and feel safe. So I've invited Officer Grogan to come and tell all of you what I learned last weekend on the class, which was really good, by the way.
Thank you.
I really enjoyed myself, even though looking back at the video, it's pretty embarrassing to see just how ill-equipped I am if someone were to come up. But you are a strong, I couldn't believe how strong you were when you were demonstrating some of this. So, okay. What happened here? Okay.
But that's something that's really good to know too, is to know where you're at.
Yes, absolutely.
Know where you're at, and if there needs to be improvement there, or that's something that you need to work on. So that's great. I mean, you did it, you tried it, and you're like, okay, well, this is where I'm at, and maybe if you want to be somewhere else, then just keep working at it.
Yeah, I think I do need to work at it, but what you did is push me outside my comfort zone, and this is the year for me to go outside my comfort zone. So this was one thing that I did with Officer Grogan, and I'm thrilled to have her here. So before we go any further, I see a bunch of you joining. Thank you so much for joining. Kelly, tell us about yourself. I want you to introduce yourself to my audience.
Okay.
So go for it. Officer Grogan.
Hi, everybody. I'm Officer Kelly Grogan. I am with Wilmington Police Department. I've been in law enforcement since 2011. Before that, I was a stay-at-home mom. And then I decided that I wanted to be, I wanted a job, and I started working as a 911 dispatcher. I did that for about 5 years and fell in love with the career, and then decided I wanted to be on the other side of the radio. I really wanted to be out there with people. So I went through the police academy and graduated, and then I became a sheriff's deputy. I did that for about 4 years, went to the Great Parks of Hamilton County, and that is where I was a park ranger, and that's where I got my instructor certification for defensive tactics. So that basically just meant that I could train other law enforcement officers, not all the way across the board just for my department. So I was trained to be able to instruct ground tactics, handcuffing, baton, OC spray, which was fun because that meant I got to spray people.
Wow.
And then, so after that, I worked for Woodlawn in Cincinnati, and before coming back to the sheriff's office, and now at Wilmington, where I will probably be staying.
You like it there?
I like it there a lot, yes.
Yeah. So wait a minute. Didn't you tell me that you practice Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? Is this a hobby of yours?
Yep, that's a hobby. That started way before my law enforcement career.
Okay.
I was actually in not the best relationship, and this is something that I did to make myself feel strong, and then I absolutely fell in love with the sport, and then lo and behold, I went into law enforcement, and it played a huge role in keeping myself safe, and keeping even the people that we have to place into custody, it keeps them safer to be able to have these tools on your tool belt.
That's a really good point. And I like nothing better than a strong, well-prepared woman to deal with conflict. I'm always telling you about in leadership, we have to deal with conflict. I think Officer Grogan deals with conflict on a whole nother level than we're used to dealing with. So if you're ever afraid to confront someone in the office, to talk about perhaps a poor performance, something that is bothering you, something you need to discuss, think of Officer Grogan and the conflict that she deals with, and then remind yourself that what you're going through is a lot less than that, and that you can do it. You can have the conflict and it can still be okay. So in your class, Kelly, I'm going to call you Kelly.
Okay.
In your class, we not only talked about physically defending ourselves, but you talked a lot about how to be aware situationally. And I want you to describe to the folks watching here, what is situational awareness? What do you mean by that? And what should women be doing to keep themselves safe before anything were to escalate into having to physically defend ourselves?
Sure. So when I say situational awareness, it's really something that we're doing constantly all the time anyway. Your eyes, ears, all your senses are always taking in all this information. And when you're being situationally aware, all you're doing is you're taking the things that your body's already doing and you're just pulling them to the forefront. Okay, so you're just being a little bit more acutely aware of the things that are going on around you. And that means limiting distractions. So not being on your phone when you're walking to your car. That means, if you're going for a walk and you're walking down the sidewalk, and I know, especially my runners, they want to have their headphones in so they can keep beat and tempo, and that's fine, but maybe keep one out. And it might not be that some crazy creep is gonna snatch you in a big white van, but maybe someone's having a medical emergency and they've got their foot pegged to the gas pedal and they're coming down the road, and you wouldn't know that. You wouldn't hear the screeching tires or an accident behind you, unless if you can just be more situationally aware and just, like I said, use your senses. When you're driving, paying attention to what's going on around you, not just the car in front of you, but let's look a mile up the road. Is there something in your area that doesn't seem quite right? If you're walking out to your car and there's a couple arguing nearby, we don't know what that argument's going to lead to. It might be a good idea to pay attention to that, and maybe stay in the store for a little bit longer, or go get somebody to come back out to your car with you if it's that close.
Yeah, that's really good advice. I have to admit, I'm guilty of walking with both headphones in because I'm listening to a book.
Yeah.
Usually it's a book about leadership. You know how I am about all these leadership books because I get inspired, and there's something about the movement of walking that also helps me, kind of helps my brain. I focus.
Yeah.
So I am guilty of walking with both headphones in, and I walk in sort of a rural area, and I always think, what would I do if a car came by and started to slow down? What would you recommend I do in that situation?
And you're just walking down a rural area,
Yeah.
I mean, immediately just get off the road and start walking in the opposite direction, or walking, if that's through a field.
Yeah.
And also, if you're walking by yourself, there's different apps that you can have that can track you, that can, you can send it to another friend. This is something I didn't get to talk about in the self-defense class. So I don't necessarily teach tools like knives or guns or anything like that.
Right.
That's a whole plethora. Plus,
Yeah.
anytime you have a tool like that, you always have to be concerned of it possibly being taken away from you and used against you.
That's what I worry about. I don't carry any kind of a weapon.
Yeah.
My partner thinks I should carry at least some sort of a spray. But again, that could be used against you too. And
Yep.
so there's apps that you can install.
So they have these keychains, and you pull a pin on it, and it's obnoxiously loud. So it's going to set off this huge alarming beep. But they sell them on Amazon that not only do that, because out in the middle of nowhere, no one's going to hear that, right?
Right.
But it sends an alert, and you set 3 people to get the notification. It doesn't call the police, but you've set 3 people to the notification, and it tells those people your alert's been set off and your last location. And it also has a GPS tracker on it, so if you can keep a hold of it, they can track you.
My
And
goodness.
they're only like $20.
So I just went to, I was in Italy a couple of weeks ago, and I got one of those tiles, or it's called, for an iPhone, it's called an AirTag, and I put it in my suitcase in case my suitcase were to get lost.
Yeah.
But I never thought about having something like that on me in case I show up.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. Thank you. That is a great idea.
You can find them on Amazon. They have the ones that are just, you pull the pin, and it, like I said, and it's obnoxiously loud if you're in a parking garage, if you're in an area where there's other people. Sometimes that's enough just to deter somebody, and they'll run away, because obviously, lots of noise, lots of attention.
Yeah.
Some of them have a flashing light. But the other ones I found, like I said, they actually track a location, and they send a notification to somebody to let them know that you've pulled your alert.
Okay.
it'll let them know your last location, and that person should call law enforcement.
So you
not
keep that
try
in
to
your
go
pocket.
find you.
Oh, I got you.
Okay.
Okay. So, and you can find that on Amazon.
Yep. They're
You know
like
what?
$20.
I'm going to have Kelly send me the link to that, and I'm going to put that in my my Amazon storefront because I think that's an important tool for a lot of us to have. I walk on trails, I walk alone, and and I don't want to feel like I can't do that or like I'm not safe. But I had no idea.
Yeah,
I never thought about a technology
That's
tool.
a great tool, and I'm not against having other tools, having knives
Yeah.
or guns or anything, as long as you're trained properly in them.
Yeah.
So that it can't be used against you. So.
And I'm not trained on either of those. So I like the idea of being able to pull something quickly and know that that would send an alert to my partner or my kids that mom's pulled the alert.
Yeah.
Something's wrong. We need to call law enforcement. Thank you for that.
Yeah, it's a fun little good one.
Yeah. I'm really glad you mentioned that. I wanted to mention that you're the first female officer in the department to teach a female-led self-defense course. So if you're just joining us, I want to introduce you to Officer Grogan of the Wilmington Police Department. I took a class last weekend and I asked her to join me on TikTok and on Facebook Live today to talk about the self-defense class that she teaches because, I'm here to empower all of you. I want you to know how to stay safe. I want you to know what to do in any kind of a dangerous situation. I'm always talking about leadership and empowerment, and I think this is one way that you can empower yourself. We were talking before we started about putting tools in our toolbox. I'm all about learning new skills, learning new tools. These are tools that you put in your own toolbox, and they're things that you need to help you feel more safe, and this makes you feel powerful. If you go to the video that I posted on my story yesterday, you will see a very embarrassing video of me fighting with Kelly, where I'm telling her to get back, and she's encouraging me and saying, "Good job, good job."
You did a great job.
And then when I saw it, I thought I would not have been able to fight her off. She could have swatted me away like a fly. Oh my gosh!
No.
But thank you.
You did a great job. You
Thank
really
you.
did. I wouldn't tell you did a great job. I'd tell you to keep going if I didn't think
keep
you
going,
did a good job.
Yeah. No, I had to yell, "Get back," and we used our elbows. And go to the video and look at it. You'll see some of what we did because she does teach the physical side too. And I don't know if you weren't here for the beginning of the video, this woman knows Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Well,
So
I won't
please
say I
don't-
know it. That's the most humbling thing about Brazilian jiu-jitsu is just when you think you might know something, about 10,000 more things come and humble you. So I don't know if I'll ever know it, but I do practice.
I love that.
I
love
practice
that.
as much as I can,
Yeah.
which sometimes isn't every week, but it is a very humbling sport. It is a very good sport. And if you have kids, I strongly suggest putting them in it. It helps with bullying. It helps with confidence. It helps them know their body and know their strength. So it helps for females or anybody who's never been in conflict. It's a really weird experience when you are that close to somebody else in a conflicting situation. And a lot of people have never had to deal with that before. And learning how to do simple things like keep your breath so that you don't panic and so that you can keep breathing. That's another really important thing.
Oh, yeah.
So you don't hyperventilate when you're going through something like that. So
Yeah.
it just the perks and positivities of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, they don't end. Another great thing is if anybody wants to take a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu class, there's a lot of local places. Also Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, which are some of the founders. It's founding of Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. They have an online women's empowerment class. I strongly recommend you take that. It's about $260, $270, and you can do it all online, and then you send your videos into them. And it's a women's empowerment, and that's strictly what it's for.
That's cool. That's cool. And I can't tell you, I felt empowered walking out of your class.
Good.
Even though I was terrible at it. I mean, I'm being straight up with you all. I was not very good at it. But it did make me realize that I needed to be more aware situationally than I have been in the past. So I'm glad that you mentioned that. Let's talk about how do we spot someone that could be a predator? So you're sitting in Starbucks, or you're let's say some of us are working from home, or we're going to the coffee shops, we're working. How do we spot a predator? What advice would you give to the women watching?
Well, predators are usually chameleons, and they're pretty good at what they do. They've done it probably usually for a while or their whole life, and what they do is they manipulate. They're manipulators. So I would be red flags go up for me if somebody's too nice, and I know that sounds terrible because I mean, the world is full of nice people. It is. But when somebody's being too nice to you, and you get that feeling, when somebody's going above and beyond and you don't really know them at all. And so, like I said, if they're offering services to you or, oh, hey, can I take your picture? You're looking so beautiful today. It can be a lot of really different avenues that somebody can take with something like that. And what they're like I said, they're manipulating you to try to gain your trust, to try to bring you in so that they're setting this up for something else. And it's a hard balance, but usually, like I said before in that defense class, is trust your gut. So if your first reaction is, I don't know, I don't really know this person.
Yeah.
Then that's it. Then go with that. You're not going to lose anything. What, are you going to lose a free cup of coffee? I mean.
Yeah, or if someone helps you, like, let me help you to the car with this. That could be really bad. That could end really badly.
Yep, so trust your gut. If you're at a grocery store and you really need help to your car, that's what they have employees for.
Yes, that's a good point.
Yeah, we don't, and it's not rude to set boundaries.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I was just going to say that because we're all taught to be nice, right? Be polite, be nice. So here you've got someone who could possibly be a predator. Your gut is telling you, I shouldn't be nice to this person. But overriding is your mother's voice or the society's voice that tells you, we're supposed to be compliant, we're supposed to be nice. Those are the messages that we all get as women. We know. Trust your gut in this situation. If you've got somebody that maybe you don't feel comfortable around, it's okay to be rude. It's okay to say no. I've got it. Thank you very much, but no thanks.
And it's not even being rude. It's just setting a boundary. And if somebody says, if you tell them, oh no, that's okay, I don't need help to the car, and they go, oh no, I insist, instant red flag. Notice that immediately because now they are telling you they don't care about the boundary you just put up.
That's a good point.
So that's another flag immediately. So now we've got what, 2-3 flags going?
Yeah, they're really trying to get to your car, aren't they?
Yeah, they're really trying to get you and your car. So at that point, just go get a manager or just, everything else can wait, put it on hold. Just be careful listen to what people say. If they're not respecting your boundaries verbally, they're definitely not going to respect them physically.
What if they're just looking at you and they're making you feel uncomfortable? Like staring at you or...
Yeah, look at them back. Make eye contact. So you get that feeling where someone's just staring at you and they're looking at you. You can feel them. Most predators, they like to look for, just like out in the wild, they like to look for something that's, meek and that's not going to put up much of a fight. So if you feel like somebody is looking at you like that, posture, put your shoulders back, head up, make eye contact with them, let them know I acknowledge you, I see you. Don't hang out there, but just let them know, yeah, I see you. And that in itself can be a deterrent. They're going to move on to something else.
So they're looking for someone who appears to be weak or afraid or insecure, or so if you do like I'm telling you to do when you're in a meeting and you have an opinion, you want to sit up, you want to take up space, and you want to make eye contact and show some confidence. Absolutely. Same advice for this situation, huh?
Absolutely. Yep. And it might be uncomfortable. A lot of people, that's uncomfortable for them, but be bold. And if you feel like you have to confront them or say something or say, can I help you? I don't know you. And just flat out say, I don't know you. Whatever it is that comes off the cuff that's comfortable for you to get yourself out of that situation. Don't get too caught up on the verbiage. Just say something.
Yeah. You mentioned in the class to actually, maybe you would throw them off guard if you say, do I know you? Do I know you from someplace? Did we go to school together?
Yeah, you can use an example like that. I also use that example if there actually is a conflict, and it might be somebody who's mistaken you for somebody else. It could be, the possibilities are endless, but sometimes it helps using, like I'll talk about is to kind of flip the script. So just kind of throw them off a little bit. And if they want to be super confrontational, try to be nice to them, see how that works. If it doesn't work, then keep going in the other direction. But definitely.
So you don't have to be a jerk. You can say, do I know you? Did we go to school together? You look familiar, and that might throw them off.
Yeah.
You don't have to actually feel that way. It doesn't matter if you know them or not.
No.
You're pretending to know them to sort of flip the script, like you said, and take control of the situation.
Yeah, it's taking control, and it's also letting them know that they're not getting underneath their skin. You know?
Yeah.
And
Barbara says a few moments of being uncomfortable can mean your safety in circumstances like
yes.
this. Thank you, Barbara. You're absolutely right, Barbara. You have to get comfortable being uncomfortable, don't you? And I know that you have learned that lesson through your work with the police department. So thank you for that, because asking if you know them could just throw them off.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
I like
and
that.
just changing it up a little bit and letting them know I'm not, you're not getting underneath my skin. Move on to somebody else.
So let's say this person is following us.
Okay.
What should we do?
Like physically in a vehicle. So if you think that somebody's following you, you've taken several right turns, left turn, and they're still back there, then immediately just call 911. So call 911, let the dispatcher know this vehicle's been behind me. I can't, since this point, they're still behind me. If you can give a description, if it's dark, we get that. You're not going to be able to give a good description, and drive to your closest police department, state highway patrol department, anything that's like that. Or even if you have maybe a Walmart or something that's well lit, but if specifically, preferably a police department, doesn't matter which one, just get to one.
Yeah, don't drive home.
Do not drive home.
Don't show them where you live. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe they're going to drive by. But if your gut is telling you something, listen to it. Yeah. I think that, what I'm guilty of is, I think maybe we're all guilty of this, following the same exact routine every day. So at 7:10, I'm walking out of the house with my coffee and my notebook and my purse, and I'm going to my car and I'm driving the exact same route to work, every day. Or I'm walking on that road every night at 5:30, because so many of us are in routines, right? Explain to us why that could be problematic.
It's just so easy for somebody, if they are trying to wait for a chink in your armor or for an opportunity, it's easy for somebody who is tracking you or who is a predator to find you at a stop sign on a backcountry road where you're just waiting and they can just jump out, or a million, like I said, other different possibilities. So if you do have a routine, we all get routines, but just try to change it up. If you're same way to work every day, pick a different route every once in a while. Stop by the same place at the same time for the same cup of coffee every morning. Always at Starbucks on my way to work, right?
Yeah.
Change it up a little bit. Either go earlier or maybe miss that day and hit it at lunch, which I know sounds like torture. So we're not going to make you miss your coffee, but you guys get my point.
Yeah. Just be aware, I think, that we're setting ourselves up by doing the same exact thing every day. If you feel like there's someone that you're uncomfortable around, that routine, they're going to know where you are at what time.
Yeah. If I wanted to track you down or attack you or cause harm to you in any kind of way, and this goes for people too who might be in domestic violence situations, and you still have to continue on a daily life and get to work and do all these things, make sure you're changing up your routine so you're not setting a pattern. Because if I wanted to cause harm to somebody, the easiest way to do that would be to track their pattern and find an opportunity.
That is such a good point. And I'm so glad you're here talking with us about this, because you all know my mission is to empower you, to help you, use your language so that you can grow in leadership. This is about that too. And I really think that it's so important. And I sincerely hope that none of you are in a domestic violence situation or in any kind of situation where you feel unsafe. If you are, please take the steps to protect yourself. Take a self-defense class.
Absolutely.
I want you to tell us. Now you're is this a new self-defense class that you've started teaching?
Yeah.
When did you start teaching this? Tell us about it.
You were my first class.
Oh, really? I was your first. Oh my gosh! I thought
was-
you came across so polished and so
Oh,
experienced.
thank you.
Okay, tell us about it.
Yep. So it's been something that I've wanted to do for years. I'm very that's a big passion of mine is to empower women, empower people. No, I shouldn't just say women, empower people, period. And so to teach something, give back to, I've got a lot of training I've been blessed with through the police department, and to be able to give some of that back to the citizens to help them keep themselves safe, I think is really important. And getting to work with our community to help keep them safe.
Yeah. So during your class, you started with some of these things: how to stay situationally aware,
Yeah.
what to do if someone is following you or talking, like staring at you, making you uncomfortable. You talked about being the fight or flight idea. So God forbid it would get physical if someone were to approach you physically. You know, if you try all these things and they don't work and the person approaches you. Tell us about that fight, flight, or freeze response that is going to happen, right? Because it happens to all of us. We're sort of wired that way. Tell us about that and what we should do to try to get out of it.
Yeah, so that's just, I mean, that's going to happen to you, and you don't really get to pick which one that you want to be. So unfortunately, today it might be fight, tomorrow it might be freeze.
Okay.
But so that's your emotional reactionary portion of your brain that's kicking in, and it is kind of like part of your caveman brain, and it's saying, I'm in trouble, I need to do something. So without getting too far into it, a lot of your prefrontal cortex is going to go offline, basically. And that's where all your really finite decision-making details are. So your lizard portion of your brain or your amygdala is going to kick in, and that's your caveman portion of your brain, and that says, I need to live and I need to do something about that right now. So your body will experience a lot of different things. I think it's important to know your body's reaction when you're going through that, so that way it can kind of prepare you a little bit, or if you've been through it, then you go, oh, okay, well, this is normal. But a lot of your blood's going to flow straight to the inner portion of your body. So your fingers might go numb, you might feel cold, you're going to have a rapid heart rate, your pupils will dilate. Different things will happen, like you won't maybe make out facial features. So if I'm in fight, flight, or freeze, I might not be able to tell the person in front of me is got a smile, or they're angry, or they're sad, because my brain just perceives a threat. It's not necessarily picking up on facial features. You also maybe get tunnel vision. So you're going to zone in just on that thing in front of you, and everything else around you might kind of blur out.
Oh, wow. Wow. So a lot of us get that when we're about to have to speak in public.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same thing, isn't it? That your mouth goes dry, your fingers get cold. It's the same sort of fear, although this is much greater when you're in physical danger.
It's an emotional response.
It is.
It's the same thing.
To protect ourselves.
Yeah, if you've had a trauma in the past, and you might have experienced PTSD, you can experience the same kind of symptoms with that as well.
Rebecca says, women are designed to be helpful and polite. I have also overridden my gut feeling. I have overridden my gut feeling and I paid for it. Yeah, we don't trust ourselves, do we, Rebecca? That's a really good point. We have that gut, we have that instinct, and we say, oh, no, I'm just making a big deal out of nothing. Yeah. No. When really, our gut is more than just some weird feeling that we have. It's our whole life experience, everything that we've learned up to this point, telling us what we know to be true.
Absolutely.
And you need to trust your gut way more than you do. Yeah, you talk yourself out of things. We do the same thing when we talk ourselves out of speaking up at a meeting, or sharing an idea, or asking for the raise, asking for the promotion. We talk ourselves out of that. We talk ourselves out of these things too. I think, no, he's not staring at me. I'm just making a big deal out of nothing.
Yeah, because the consequence of that actually being true is more fearful in your own mind than probably the possibility of it not being true. If I could just tell myself, oh, that's not true, then I move on. it's way scarier for the idea of your brain to say, oh, no, that's really happening. And it might be really happening. So definitely trust your gut. But she brought up another really good point about how women are designed in a certain manner to be helpful and polite. And I'll play off of that just a tiny bit. With the fight, flight, and freeze response, your body automatically, and I just think this is the coolest thing, that your body automatically releases hormones. And for men, it releases testosterone. And for women, we release oxytocin, which is a calming hormone. And that is why we are such great communicators. Because in a event like that, the way we're created, we're not necessarily physically, naturally the stronger of the sexes, right? Men are.
We're not going to be able to physically overpower.
Right.
Necessarily. Okay.
Right. So we release oxytocin, which makes us a very good communicators to kind of hopefully talk our way out of situations. Not every time. And it's not that women can't fight, because we absolutely can.
Oh, yes.
But it's just neat to me that that's a biological thing that just automatically happens.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so fascinating. Because oxytocin you think of as like when you eat a piece of chocolate or right? Yeah, or you're falling in love or whatever. But the fact that you would use that hormone to be able to talk yourself or reason get out of the situation.
Yeah, it's just a calming effect.
Tell us what we should do when we freeze, because you said something really interesting to get your brain back in gear, because you said like our frontal cortex checks out, right?
Yep, it's gone.
We go into what I call we're offline. I go into like the alligator brain, right? The instinct to survive. And so it overrides all of this. Tell us what you shared in the class, a cheat way to get out of that. Because I think this is fascinating.
Yeah, so if you can, if you're in freeze mode, if you're in fight mode, you're in fight mode. But if you're in freeze mode and you feel frozen and you can't move because you're terrified, if you can at least start to move a portion of your body, if that's a foot moving left to right, that can at least start to signal the front of your brain to start thinking in that manner again, and gets those two working in conjunction again. So if you're in a freeze mode, if that's sometimes you're so scared you can't even talk. But if you can move and start moving and using those portions of your brain that say, I have to make decisions. Am I going to go left? Am I going to go right? And then that can kind of bring you back down. Also, it's important to try to center yourself. And that sounds like a big task when you're in that mode. But what I mean by that is focus on your senses. So just like if someone's having a panic attack or something like that, what can I see? What do I smell? What can I taste? What can I touch? And that can kind of ground you a little bit. Even if you're in the midst of it, and you might be in fight or you might be in flight or freeze, then if you can at least ground yourself to the point of, well, this is happening. I'm hearing this. I'm seeing this. I'm tasting this. I'm smelling this. That might be, that can also help.
So moving right to left, just moving your feet. So I'm going to put you on the spot, Kelly. Have you been in a situation as a police officer where you've had to do that? Oh,
absolutely. I've had car stops where my leg's shaking so bad I have to shake it out. I mean, that's just the nature of the beast. I'm not going to stand here and lie to anybody or tell anybody I'm the biggest and baddest, and I'm not afraid of anything. That's not true. At 2:00 in the morning when I stop a car and it's full of people, my legs, I'm going to have some adrenaline going. And that's something I do too. If I've noticed that my leg's shaking a little bit, I might just shake it out. But I've also been in conflict to where someone's charging at you or someone's yelling at you, and if for a brief minute you're like, oh man, and just moving left to right. Also moving left to right, we'll go ahead into this too. If you're in conflict and someone is charging towards you or coming towards you, moving in a left to right pattern or diagonally is going to be way better than straight back. It's harder to track somebody that is moving in a pattern that's diagonal left to right than it would be from back and forth.
Okay, because they can just keep following, keep going forward.
Yeah.
Very interesting. If you're just joining, I noticed there's some new people joining. I have Officer Grogan here with me from the Wilmington Police Department. I took her self-defense class last weekend, and I was so impressed. I asked her to come and be on this TikTok live because I am here to empower all of you and help you empower yourselves. And while this isn't a topic that I talk about very often, because we've got this resource so close to where I live, and I embarrass myself by being in the class and doing the self-defense in front of, you had a big crowd. It was a nice turnout. I learned some techniques on how to protect myself. I wanted to share that with you all. Because I think that empowering ourselves is about all of this. It's not just about speaking up in a meeting or, asking for the raise, asking for the promotion, being assertive at work. This is about being assertive as we carry ourselves through our lives. And we were talking earlier about, if someone's staring at us, or the situational awareness, the way that you carry yourself, whether you're looking down at your phone on the way to the car. Who doesn't do that? We're all doing that. That can send a message to a potential predator, like you said,
Yes.
that you are not paying attention and that you're not aware of what's going on around you. And I want you all to be safe. We don't want to have to call Kelly and have her come rescue. You were talking earlier about a piece of equipment that maybe we put on our keychain.
Yeah.
Or that we could carry in our pocket. What's the name of that?
Ooh.
Can you remember? Because I want to put it on my Amazon storefront for
on
you.
Amazon real
You know
quick.
what? Just send it to me,
Okay.
and I'll add it to my Amazon storefront. Because tell us what it does.
So it's just it goes on your keychain, and it's an alert button. So you basically just pull out a pin and it will set off an alarm. It's very loud. Some of them have lights and they, flash, lots of noise. But some of them just do that, but some of them also will send a GPS location to 3 contacts that you have listed. So like if I listed Sue and my mom and my other best friend, then they would get a notification that said Kelly's set her alert. This was her last known location. And then this one's important. She would contact law enforcement. Don't go looking for them.
So don't get in my car and drive to
No.
where you are.
No,
Okay.
Don't
Call 911
Call
and
911.
say, my friend just set off her alarm.
Yeah, don't give them 2
I'm
victims.
concerned about her. Please do a wellness check. Don't give them 2 victims.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
There are things that we can do. We don't have to feel helpless, and we don't have to feel unsafe when we're walking or running or this whole man and the bear thing, right? Would you rather find a bear in the woods or a man? And so many women are saying, "Oh, the bear." Absolutely the bear. Because when you look at statistics,
I have one little thing about that.
Tell me.
So
Tell me.
I'm afraid to start too much conflict.
Right.
But man, woman, bear, whatever, I would rather probably be with the bear because I know what the bear's intentions are. It needs to eat. Right? That's what that bear needs to do.
Or she's protecting her cubs.
Or she's protecting her cubs.
Yeah.
But if there is a human, non-gender specific, a human in the woods alone with you, that is when you need to be prepared because you don't know what its intentions are. They have a lot of, I don't know bears' complexities, but
yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
that's been a really fascinating discussion to see how many women say, the bear, unfortunately. And and I think you're right. It's because we don't know the intentions
of another human.
And
we don't.
Yeah.
Another thing I want to bring up that brings something else up is don't focus so much on when we say predator, it being a man. For a couple reasons. One, not all men are predators. Like I said before, I love men.
Of course.
Men are the coolest. It's to quote Cher, right?
Yes.
And we're not trying to say that, but also that if you are so focused on a certain gender being a predator to you, then you are completely blind to anything else. So don't always, just be aware all the way around. If we're so focused on this being a scary problem or this being a concern, I'm not looking at what's coming up behind me.
That's all about situational awareness. We're back to that, right? Yeah. You can't close your mind off to just one thing being dangerous.
No.
There could be lots of things that are dangerous.
There could be lots of things that are dangerous. There's a lot of, even in situations where there have been women who can approach another woman, they're luring them back to go to
Who knows?
Who knows?
We have seen way too much true crime.
Yeah. Exactly. But
Yeah.
yeah, don't focus on one thing. Just be aware that, predators comes in all shapes, sizes, and genders, unfortunately.
We have, Jenny wants to know how to be safe when attending a concert alone. So many people in the parking garage.
Yeah.
It's scary. That's a really good point.
That's
And
a great one.
I want you to be able to do things alone. You don't always have to have a plus one, whether it's a man or a woman. I've gotten to the point where I like to do things by myself.
Yeah.
But being safe, that's a really good question. So tell Jenny, what
Yeah.
should she do?
So if the first thing I would say, you mentioned the parking garage. So plan out the parking garage of where you're going. So make sure you pick out, your concert venue. Pick out the garage before you go, so at least you know where it is, so that way you're not driving around downtown looking lost, because somebody might be, keeping their eye on that. And then always try, if you can do street parking, try to do street parking so that you're not trapped in a scary garage. And always let somebody know, if you have somebody to let know, hey, I'm going to this concert, I should be, just let somebody know where you are at all times if you're able to. And it's going to be from this time to this time or whatever.
Yeah.
And like I said, being situationally aware, who's behind you, who's next to you, who's giving you drinks, maybe.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And be aware of the view of other people towards you, maybe hang out in next to another crowd, so you don't look like you're there necessarily by yourself.
Oh, that's good advice. Yeah. I try not to use the restroom at the end, even though I might need to, because I don't want to I want to go out with the crowd.
Yeah.
I want to be in the whole crowd of exiting people who are heading to their cars.
Yes.
I don't want to be the straggler at the end who's heading to my car after a few minutes later.
Absolutely.
So-
Walking down a dark road by yourself to your vehicle. So yeah, just planning your trip ahead of time can be very instrumental. Even the walk from the concert venue to where you're going to park. If you can shorten that up at all and make sure that wherever you're at, you're on camera. Most cities have a lot of cameras.
Good point. Yeah, we're not far from a camera. I like to park in the parking garage, honestly, because I don't like to look for street parking.
Yeah.
I just don't like to do it. I want to park in the parking garage that's typically kind of attached to the venue. And sometimes there's even a walkway. I like that, but they are scary. I will admit, especially if you get there a little after the crowd.
Yeah.
So Jenny, thank you for asking that. I appreciate you. Oh, she said thank you. So,
good.
yeah. And I like that Barbara's giving Jenny advice on a button or an app until I made it to my car or my dorm that would tell us her friends when she made it. So there's apps out there that can keep you safe on college campuses.
Yes.
And connected. Yeah.
Yes.
There's an app for everything.
There literally is.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I want to make sure that we're getting your questions in. Does anyone have, we've got Officer Grogan here. Does anyone have questions on staying safe as a woman in the world? She's got an awful lot of knowledge. She's teaching these self-defense classes. We want to open it up to you. Ask us your questions.
Yep.
We're here to help you. And she's great at this self-defense class. I learned a lot, and I learned at least a few physical things to do.
And we're,
like putting at the elbow. And she taught us not to try to hit. If you're going to try to get physical, not to hit with your hand, because you're going to hurt yourself, right?
So go ahead.
You hit like this, right?
Yeah. If you are going to end up in a physical confrontation, don't use your fist. Don't punch, because 9 times out of 10 people do it wrong anyways, and they end up breaking their thumb.
Oh gosh.
But you want to punch, or you want to strike with the palm of your hand. It is a very hard surface.
Okay.
It's actually going to cause more damage than a fist will. If you hit somebody with your fist, you've got all that adrenaline going. It's a good chance that you're probably going to hurt yourself. And then this hand's out of commission, and now I can't use it to get her or him away, or whatever's going on.
Yeah. And you had us yelling, "Get back."
Yeah.
Get back, too, as we were using our, like, this part of your arm is really hard and strong.
You're going to use your elbow and your forearm to block or push people away. But you want to make witnesses. So that's why we yell. We yell so that we can get help and so that we can make witnesses, so that we can say, God forbid something happens, somebody's going to call 911 for you, and they'll say, yeah, I saw that lady and she was yelling at him to get away, and he wasn't. So that's another reason you want to use your voice. Also, yelling is making sure you're breathing. So if I'm yelling, I'm breathing, which is another thing. When you're into fight, flight, or freezes, you might just kind of stop.
And then no one can hear you. Then
yeah,
nobody knows you're in trouble.
Yeah, you just panic and it's hard to get words out. So if that's another one of those things, kind of like moving your feet, right? Is if we can yell and get those words out, that can kind of start kicking your brain into thinking mode again.
Wow. And I kept forgetting to yell during the
really
practice.
uncomfortable.
You got to practice this.
So if it makes you feel any better, even when I do it and I'm in training and we yell the same thing. Get back, get back, get back.
Yeah.
It's uncomfortable. It's awkward.
you have to practice it.
But you
because
have to.
You don't walk around the house yelling, get back, get back. It's not something that we practice.
Yes, it's unnatural, but the more you do it, the easier it'll come.
Because I want you to go to concerts and I want you to enjoy your life, and we want you to be safe. We want you to have confidence, but also be safe doing it.
Yeah, that's the whole point of putting this class on, is so that you will walk on the bike trail and that you will go to concerts by yourself and that you can live freely, not to be in fear. So that's taking these extra steps to educate yourself is, important, and it's empowering and it's freeing to be able to do that.
Give us one final piece of advice for all of the women who joined us tonight. Thank you so much on both Facebook and TikTok. Thank you to you for being here, first of all, and thank you for the empowering class that you're teaching here in Wilmington. What is one piece of advice that you can leave everyone with so that they do walk away with a sense of empowerment and that they can build those tools for themselves?
I would say probably the best advice I have gotten and I'll pass on is always invest in yourself. So even if that means a self-defense class, which ours are free, but if you want to start taking jiu-jitsu, if you want to start going to the gym, if you're working in a career and there's a class that you want to take and your job isn't going to pay for it, or they don't want to send you, take it. There is no better investment than investing in yourself. So, just because if you're, like I said, there was classes that I wanted to go to and I worked in other departments and they didn't want to send me. So I paid for it myself and I went myself. Because I'm investing in myself to be able for my future. Might not be my future there. It's now my future where I'm at, and it's worked out great. So always empower yourself. Take the classes, whatever it is. You're never going to lose anything by investing in yourself.
And no one can take those skills away from you once you have them.
No one can take that away.
I love that you said that, because investing in yourself is always a good idea. Whether or not your employer invests in you, you invest in yourself. Those are tools that you're putting in your own toolbox so that you will always have them, whether it's taking a self-defense class, whether it's taking karate, the jiu-jitsu,
whatever you want to do. Yeah.
It's learning leadership, reading books about leadership. I love that advice. Jess is asking where we're located. We are in Ohio, but if you are inspired to take a self-defense class, should they just Google women's self? Yeah, just search for one in their area.
I will also mention the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu class, which is online again. If you Google Gracie Jiu-Jitsu and you Google women's empowerment, or you will find that on their page. If you can't find a gym or you're not sure about going to a local jiu-jitsu gym, this is a wonderful way. They do it all online, and then you might have to have a partner just to do a video so you can send it to them. It's like a several week course, and then they will send you, you'll get, I think it's like a pink empowerment belt.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So you go through this online?
You do it online. You can do it from the comfort of your own home, which is like super great. I plan on taking this course just because I'm curious. I want to see what all they teach in it. But yeah, that's another one. And they're super accredited. Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, if you look them up, they're the best of the best of the
Okay,
best.
Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. Wow, I've never ever thought of taking that. I use YouTube for a lot, like
Yeah.
you know, yoga or Pilates. You know, those are things more, you know, my speed, more relaxing. But there's probably an awful lot out there that we don't even think to look up and don't even think about the free resources that are out there. So you are welcome, Jenny. I'm so glad that we had Kelly here tonight. Thank you all for joining. Officer Grogan, thank you for joining.
Thank you,
I wish
guys.
you the best of luck in your women's self-defense class. I know it's going to be a big success for you, and I think it's going to open doors for you in the leadership community as well too.
You should come to the next one because I think we're going to do more physical stuff.
I will.
That would seem to be a big request from everybody. Everybody liked doing that part. So
Well,
we're going to add some more.
I like that, and it was definitely outside my comfort zone, which is where we need to be. Somebody on the live earlier said, "Get comfortable being uncomfortable," or
love
get
that.
yourself out of that comfort zone.
I love that.
I think that's great. It's a great quote to leave you all with. So thank you all for joining us. I really appreciate you being here. If you missed this and you want to go back and watch it, I am going to download this and put it on my YouTube channel. So watch for that in a couple of days if you missed our talk tonight. But thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you for
us. I
having
really
me. That was
appreciate it.
fun.
And good night. I love you all so much. Be safe, take care of yourself, and go out there and walk and be confident.
Yep. Thank you guys.
Good night.